Okay, good morning. I have 9 o'clock, so we are going to get started. We'd like to thank you for joining the new principals and AD's orientation today. We will be covering a lot of information, and as we go through the presentations, we do ask that any questions you have, you put in the chat button down at the bottom, and we will go through. We will monitor those questions throughout the meeting. We will answer questions either in the chat, or if it's beneficial to everyone in the group, then we will share it with the person who is presenting and let them respond to it. But with that, we just ask that you, if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask. And we hope that everything is presented today is beneficial to you. And at this time, I would like to introduce to you Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you, Commissioner Boozer. Good morning. It's great to have everyone here. I've got a lot of information that we want to share with you. It's really good to be doing something that's exciting and new for us. Last year has been a bit of a challenge for us, and we're able to start out a new year and hopefully create some new traditions and just get excited about being back involved in the world of sports. We've got a lot of information we've got to share with you. But my staff will do a great job, I'm sure. We're going to give you a lot of things in front of you. We just ask that you take your time and look at it and give us questions as we go through this. We want to be able to be an asset to you. We're here to serve you. If you're from out of state and this is new to you, then please know that this is the opportunity for you to ask all the questions that you possibly can. Those of you that have been here before and just changed schools or just going through it again, we welcome you also. So with that, I want to start with the information that I want to share with you. I want to begin by telling you a little bit about the South Carolina High School League. The staff will talk to you more about the day-to-day operation. I'll cover things that are basically about the South Carolina High School League and the organization that serves you. Please know that we're here for you, as I said before. The first thing I want to share is that we have 2 representatives that represent this group that we're presenting in front of today, which is the principals and athletic directors. Our executive committee is composed of 19 to 20 members. 2 of the members represented on the executive committee is representation from the principal organization and representation from the Athletic Administrators Association. We recognize those as the Athletic Directors Association. Those 2 being Sonia Bryant from Batesburg Leeds High School and also Carlos Cave from Will Branch Early College High School. So they're there to be your voice, and any information that goes funneled up to this office in the executive committee, actually they become your representation and they share that information with us, and any actions that are taken is based on the information that's being shared. So know that you have a voice that's recognized for the membership. They become your voice. Again, that's Sonia Bryant and Carlos Cave. I'll tell you a little bit about what else we're doing. If you go to the next slide, is we have an approved budget. The budget was approved this past April for this upcoming year, and you can see it's a projection at best. Truly, it is. The budget, we look at what we've done in the past and try to make some projections on what it's going to be for the upcoming year. Those things that are listed under revenue has been consistent, and we've always listed those as what we will use to generate our revenue. Pay attention to the third one, the third item that's listed: fines and late fees. I'm challenging you as new ADs and principals to don't be a contributor to that part of the budget or the revenue generating. That's late fees and fines. Those things are avoidable. So I want to challenge you as new principals and athletic directors, and even those that have been here for a while and that don't be a contributor to that. But that has always been consistent for us, that it's gotten to the point now that it becomes a line item on the budget. And this predates me. It's not something that Jerome Singleton added. It predates me. It's been a line item on the budget for over 30 years now. But again, we want to continue to encourage you to, since it's avoidable, don't be a contributor to that part. And of course, the funds that we get, you'll see that none of it comes from the state or the government help. We're a 501c3. We're an independent organization and we generate our own funds, or you do as a member, as a league, generate your own funds to run this business that we have. And you'll see the expenses that are listed there, and those are consistent with what we've done in the past. Next slide. Each year, while you looked at what I just submitted is a guesstimate at best. You're in the education system, you understand how budgets work, is a guesstimate at best. But each year, at the end of the year, we have an audit by a reputable group. Davis and Davis comes in and audit all the finances of the league, and they produce us what we would consider to be our audit for that year, with our statement of activities and revenues and expenses. We have been fortunate in that we've been able to take in more revenue than expenses that we incur. That will always be an activity that takes place at the end of the year, and we try to get it done prior to September. But in most cases, the year ends in June 30th, and we have to get all that information to our audit, and they're able to tell us how we've done. And you can see from this one that we did have a surplus at the very end of the last year. We're hoping to get our 2021 audit done soon, so we can get that information available to you too. Next slide. Our revenue streams. Of course, gate receipts being one of those that we used. The gate receipts that are taken in most sports are just in the state finals. Our earlier playoff rounds, and the league doesn't get any share of regular season play at all. But when it gets to playoffs, that's where the league gets its share to help generate its funds. A change was that where in the past, every round in the playoffs, the league got a share. Well, in most sports now, the league only shares in the finals, and in basketball at the semifinals and the finals. But in most sports, the league only gets a share, which is 20% of the finals. The earlier rounds in the playoff, the schools get to keep all of it. And that's a change. We just started that this year. Next receipt. Revenue stream comes from our corporate sponsors. We don't force any of our schools to use those sponsors, but they are sponsors for us, and we ask that you support them because we put out information about them to you, but we don't require that you use them in your individual schools. Now, as a state association, we can make a decision as a state association to use them, but we don't require any individual schools to have to use their products, especially if they've got products that they're shopping. They have to convince you that they're a product of choice for you. Next screen, please. And of course, the membership dues. That's a big part of it for us. You pay to be a member of the South Carolina High School League, and we take those funds to help us to meet our budget through membership dues. And it's broken down by classifications, the amount of which each school is, for lack of better terms, invoiced for their dues. Next screen, please. With that, as I shared a lot about the league, the governance of the league is established by our legislative assembly, the delegates, and just depending on how familiar you are with the league, will dictate what that is. Each region gets a delegate to be a part of the legislative assembly. Well, that's the group that decides what the rules of the league is. This office plays no role in establishing the rules of the league, the bylaws and constitution. That's totally dictated by the membership. Now, we have it online, our league handbook, which includes our constitution, bylaws,
our training at school,
and our rules and regulations. A constant comment that's made when when it's called to this office says, well, Jerome, your rule says. Actually, it's not mine because I didn't play any role in putting it together. The membership voted on it. It's truly your rules. It's your bylaws. We're just charged with enforcing it as you have written it. So our Constitution and bylaws are reviewed every year. That's, for lack of a better term, our Bible. That's what we go by. That dictates what we do, how we do it, why we do it, how we make changes to it. The process for change, every year you as a principal or a superintendent, and I don't know if we have any of those on there, but the principal or superintendent can submit a change. They're the only ones that can submit a change. And those changes are reviewed in March of every school year. But it has to be submitted by the end of December of that school year so that it can be reviewed. And as I said earlier, there are delegates, and each region gets a delegate. And that delegate serves as your voice for any change that can occur. And those votes are taken again at the Legislative Assembly meeting, which is held every March. The delegates' vote is dictated by the number of students that are within your classification. So the larger the classification, the more, I don't know the word I'm looking for, the more influential the vote, the more votes they have. So it's not one vote for each delegate. It depends on which classification you're in and the number of schools that are in your classification. So for every 1,000 of students that's in your classification, you get one vote. Well, it only makes sense to say the larger the classification, the more votes that the classification is entitled to. That would be the division of power. 5A in this case has more votes than 4A. 4A has more votes than 3A. 3A has more votes than 2A. 2A has more votes than 1A. But that's the division of power because it's based on the number of students that are in your classification is divided among the delegates of that class. And then, of course, the required vote for a change to occur, while everybody can submit it, everybody gets to review it. For a change to occur, it has to be a 2/3 majority of votes, better than a 2/3 majority of votes for a change to occur. Now, any questions about the bylaws and Constitution? Is there anything in the chat room? Okay, next screen. As I said earlier, the Constitution and bylaws are driven by the membership and ruled on by the entire membership, the delegates. They vote on it every year. Then we have a rules and regulations section, and that talks about the number of games that you can play, the price for a ticket for playoffs, what the out of season practices can be, any of those type things. Anybody can submit that. Coaches, principals, athletic directors, superintendents, anybody can submit those changes because those are voted on by the executive committee. The representative that you chose to be a part of the executive committee, as I said before, Sonia Bryant or Carlos Cave, which represents these two entities, principals and athletic directors. They're part of the executive committee. They're part of this rules and regulation process. And the process for change is you submit it, it's reviewed by the exec committee, and they vote on it. It's a 20-member committee, and they vote on it. And all it takes is a majority vote for it to be enacted. That's the rules and regulations section. Again, the deadline is you got to get it in prior to their meeting. Our exec committee meets 4 times a year. Traditionally, and you just need to have it prior to their meeting so that they can have a vote on it. Now, a key point is if you want to bring about a change, it helps the exec committee to recognize that multiple schools are in favor of it. If one person just brings it forward and they're seeing it for the first time, they don't have a gauge of what the membership really feels about it. So the likelihood of it being moved forward in that case is slim to almost none. But if you can share that we've discussed it within our region, we've discussed it within our classification, we've discussed it among classifications, then they have a bigger comfort zone of being able to move it forward. Any questions about the rules and regulation part? And again, there's a lot more details to it than that, but I'm just kind of giving you cliff notes so that you can get an understanding or a feel for how it operates. Move to the next slide. Even with the rules that have been put in place, bylaws and constitution in particular, there are opportunities for exceptions, and that comes through an appeals process. And there's an application of which you file for an appeals to a rule that you've established that you want to have set aside. The rule is the rule. The Exec Committee doesn't have the authority to change the rule or change the bylaw or change the constitution. That's what we operate under. There's only that opportunity in March to be able to do any changes to that. But here's the application, and it asks some questions, and you need to be able to respond to those questions and get it to us so that it can be reviewed for an exception. It's a yeah, but. Here we know that this is the rule, or this is the Constitution, or this is what the bylaw says. But in this circumstance, we're asking that it not be applied for this student. In most cases, it's the eligibility of a student. We're asking that it not be applied. And that's what this form does. Now, the process for that, of course, let's go to the next screen. There's 3 levels. First level is the commissioner. The likelihood of unless it's something that's truly out of the ordinary, and what you recognize in your school as being truly out of the ordinary may not be common among all schools. So in most cases, I'm going to support the rule that you have developed back in March, or that you ratified in March. I'm going to support what's in the book, which means I probably won't grant an exception unless it's extreme. And again, recognize what's extreme at your school may not be commonly extreme across all the membership, because that's what it is. We're asking for this rule to apply to everybody else in the membership except this one kid. Why would we do that? That's why we have to have this understanding that you make the rules, we enforce it, and it has to be a very critical situation for us to not enforce it as written, because the membership has dictated us to do it. So it comes to me, and if I support the rule as written, then you have an opportunity to appeal that decision to the executive committee. That's that group I've shared with you about that can come in, and they don't have the ability to change the rule, but they can set it aside. It goes before a group of your peers, for lack of a better term. Executive committee is made up of principals, athletic directors, coaches, superintendents, school board members. All of those play a role in it. So it's a group of your peers that look at it, that was a part of making the rule, that says this is a yeah, but we're going to make the exception. If they choose to uphold the rule as written, then there's a third group, the Appellate Panel. Now this group was created by state legislators, and there's one representative from each congressional district, made up of a group that's not affiliated with the school or the executive committee. They get the opportunity to review that information. Now, again, you've stepped away from what you have decided as a membership to be the rule, and allowing an outside entity to now come in and share that we're not going to apply it in this circumstance. Again, they don't have the authority to change the bylaw or the Constitution or the rule, but they do have the authority to say, in this circumstance, we're not going to apply it as written. So again, and I'll share with you, you understand that each time we set it aside, we weaken the rule. Those are the 3 levels. Next screen, please. So the next we have are the services that are being provided by this office. Workshops. We're there to do workshops. Go ahead and put them all up, Charlie. Okay. We'll go back. We'll go back. Okay. You can count on us. We'll come to your school and do workshops at your school for your coaches. And these are all free of charge. You just tell us, we set up a date. We'll come and we'll work with your coaches and cover any information that you want covered. I've got a couple of them scheduled for later this month and next month. We'll do it for a district. If you want to get a district together, all the schools in the district together, we'll come and do those. We provide leadership summits in addition to other summits, and Commissioner Brooks will talk to you a little bit about those. If you have an assembly and you need us to come by and do speaking engagements, we're glad to do that. Just share with us what you want to have covered. If you've got we do online tutorials or information that we can get for you, and you can go on our website and they'll share with you where you can find those. We'll come out and do rules clinics for administrators, or we do rules clinic for coaches. They'll talk to you a little bit more about that. Sportsmanship and community service challenges. All those things are services that we can provide for your school. We provide it out there, and we just ask that you take the opportunity to be engaged in those things that we present. Next slide, please. This year, as opposed to other years, every 2 years we do a realignment reclassification of schools, and there's a process that's involved. As we move closer and closer to it, you'll get more and more information from us about it. We actually use the enrollment count of the 45-day enrollment of this coming year to establish what the realignment look like for the next 2 years. As we get closer and closer to it, we will share more and more information. And basically what we do is we take all of our schools and dissolve all classifications and regions and realign them and reclassify them and place them back in classifications and regions. Normally, the enrollment size dictates what classification you're going to be in, and your geographic location dictates what region you're going to be in. But then there's opportunities after it's put together for you to look at it, and again, I told you there's an appeal process involved of where you can appeal your placement. This is coming this year. You'll have all that information. The plan is to have it completed before we go to the spring conference, which is in March of the coming school year. Any questions on any of those? I know I gave you a lot. Don't let it drive you crazy trying to think about all of this. You can call me and we can talk more about any of those type of things. The information that's going to be shared with you now is to help you get out of the blocks, to help you get started for the school year and be able to kind of have some knowledge and semblance of what's going on. Classification meetings will be held during the year also, which we can get a lot more detail on information that we can share with you. Again, this is just to whet your palate, to make you aware of who we are, what we're about, and so that you don't feel isolated on an island trying to work your way through this. We're here for you, and anything that we can do to help, don't hesitate to ask us. Any questions? Okay, that I'll turn it back over to Commissioner Boozer.
Great, thank you, Commissioner Singleton. And so far, we do not have any questions in the chat, but just remember, as we continue through the presentation, if you do have a question, just simply put it in the chat. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Commissioner Charlie Winski.
Morning, welcome. I'm going to take a few minutes here to talk about academic eligibility. This is spelled out in the bylaws for you as well. But as you prepare for the fall, the biggest things you have in front of you are student eligibility and making sure your schedules and officials and buses are all lined up. So want to make sure everybody understands what student needs to be eligible. We won't get into second semester today. We're going to just focus on first semester because that is what is in front of you at this point in time. But to be able to participate in interscholastic athletics, if you're in grades 9 through 12 for the first semester, you have to pass 5 Carnegie units from the previous school year, and at least 2 of those units have to have been passed during the second semester or in summer school. So to recap that, student would have to, for academic purposes, they have to have an overall passing average. Okay, I skipped over that part. Overall passing average, and pass 5 Carnegie units for the full school year. So in the 2021 school year, they had to earn a total of 5 credits for that year. And 2 of those 5 credits had to have come the second semester or during summer school. Now, students can also take up to 2 summer school classes or 2 credit recovery classes. Any combination of those to be 2. They could do 1 credit recovery, 1 summer school, and apply that towards their 5 from the previous year. What they can't do is take a credit recovery and 2 summer school classes and count 3 credits for the upcoming year. You're only in summer school, once the semester ends in the spring, you're only able to pick up an additional 2 credits from anything beyond that. There is a date in our handbook that outlines when that needs to be completed by. I believe it's the 2nd Monday in August. Any questions on the academic eligibility piece for you? Okay, with that, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to show you where we go into share my internet screen with you here. Give me a second. You're going to go into Planet HS. If you don't have a Planet HS account, you need to make sure we get you set up with Planet HS so they can get you an account. This is what my screen looks like. What I'm going to do is I'm going to type in a high school here. I'm going to go to Newberry High School. Yours will already be pulled up to your account when you get in. This is what your screen account should look like when you come into Planet HS for the first time. You've got your coach management, which is where you can list your coaches, eligibility and transfers, which Amy's going to speak to transfers in a minute. And she's going to show you a picture what the transfer form is on here, but this is where you would come enter that transfer form. Your pitch count for baseball in the spring is in here. You can also set up team rosters, and then there's also videos that we do for our rules clinics that are in there as well. For the purposes of what we're doing now, you're going to go to eligibility transfers. You can go up here to the top bar, or you can click on your bar here. Waiting for it to roll into it. Okay, so when I roll into this page, it's going to give me options of my sport management. So I can manage my semester setup, which I'm going to show you. Everybody's going to have to do that, and then manage eligibility. You also have transfer forms. This is where you fill them out. You can view your transfer forms here for your school only. And you can also review all the high school league transfer forms throughout the state. So I'm going to go first to semester setup because most of you are going to have to go in and set that up before your year starts. A couple key things here is you've got the make sure the year is correct. You can go back and look the previous years that you've had Planet HS at your eligibility rosters. If you've got a question on whether Charlie participated at your school last year or they're the transfer, go back through some of your old eligibility rosters by sport and see if their name's on there. Chances are if they were at your school last year and they're wanting to play that sport, they probably participated in it at some level. If not, you would know from the coach they're just first coming out, they've been here, and you can look at their transcript to verify. You can also toggle between the fall and the spring. When you go to the spring, it changes your fields a little bit in terms of what sports you could pull from. So we're going to stay in the fall right now. I'm going to hit search. And you notice I've got Newberry High School, who we're using. He's actually gone in and set some of these up. So he's got his boys basketball. And you have to enter this information in He names it varsity boys basketball. First regular season contest, he puts that in. His preseason tournament, he puts that in. That will allow him or the school to generate their eligibility in Planet HS. He's got his swimming lined up. So Coach Carey at Newberry he's ahead of the game here. Let's just take a look at one. Let's go through. When you get them all set up, you're going to save your semester configuration. So now I'm going to roll down, and I have them all right here in front of me for what I want. So I've set up my semester for the fall. They're already set up with everything they need. I'm going to head back to my dashboard, and I'm going to click on Manage Eligibility. So that's the difference. Manage Semester Setup. You have to enter in that information on that screen for every team you're going to have in the fall. Once you get that entered in, I go to Manage Eligibility. Now, if you remember, these were the only sports that were on the page that he had managed in his eligibility or his semester setup. So he had not set up his cross country. He had not set up any girls golf, and he had not set up his wrestling for his winter sport. So that's why they're not pulling up. So if you get to a situation where you say, hey, my football is not pulling up, go back and check your semester configuration to make sure football is listed in there. So I'm going to look. He has already, this is a great example for you. He has already entered in football. Let's go to one that needs a start initial. So you see here, he's already entered in. If they have a plus sign beside it, that means they've already entered in an initial eligibility or an eligibility. And all I'm going to do is click on that plus sign that's going to give me what's already in there. You notice they say pending, and I'll get back to what that pending means here in a second. So let's go to his boys swimming and start initial eligibility. So it's going to pull up what your eligibility looks like. You list your head coach right here. And it's got all the information up here for you. And then you can go in and student athlete, if they've already got an account in there, their name is going to would automatically pop up for you. So you're going to fill in Smith, fill in all their information here, date of birth. You're going to fill that in as well, what grade they're currently in as their transcript. And then the most important thing for eligibility is going to be the date they first entered the 9th grade. This is what needs to be accurate because that's going to determine how they are added to how many semesters they have left of eligibility. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to click the answers to the question about each individual kid, total units earned, previous school year, total earned, second semester. Of course, you can see it won't allow me to put 1 because 1 means I am not eligible there. And in total earned from the previous school year, I can't put anything less than 5 because anything less than 5 means I am not eligible. Overall passing average, yes. If you answered no, the student is not eligible. And that is all that I'm going to enter in terms of the grades. I'm not going to enter in column 4. I'm not going to enter in column 5 because those are pertaining to second semester eligibility. If they're a diploma track student, I am not answering question 6. And I'm not, and then I get question 7. It's either a yes or no. Either they are a transfer, yes, which means I've got accompanying paperwork in the transfer form, or they are a no. Any questions in the chat, Amy?
No, I've been answering just some of the questions that have come through, but not a lot. And just while you were taking a moment right here, I just want to remind everybody that as we're going through this presentation, it is being recorded. So you will be able to go back and kind of review any piece of our presentations today. It'll be uploaded on our website on the communications tab on Rewind. So I just want to share that while we have this quick pause.
Okay, one thing to point out to you, if you have a rising 9th grade student, they didn't earn any credits or they wouldn't have to have earned any credits in the 8th grade, or they're coming into the 7th grade, or as an 8th grader, they're going to participate on one of your high school level teams. Those students, they don't earn credits. You noticed we talked about anyone in the 9th grade or above. So that would be your 10th and 11th and 12th graders. Those are in 10th, 11th, and 12th, or those that were in 9th grade last year. So if they were in 9th grade last year, 10th grade, or 11th grade last year, those students will be the ones that are required to earn the credits to be eligible for first semester. Anybody outside of that, your current 7th graders that are coming in, your current 8th graders, or those that are rising into 9th grade to start this fall. Those 3 groups, they're not held to the credits earned standard. They would meet the promoted academically, the PA, and that would be what the district's requirements are for promoted academically here. So they'd be PA if they met the district standards for that now. And then, of course, they still have to have the overall passing average. And then you would fill it all out. And then what you would do is you would hit save data. And then once you save it, it'll save back to your list. So I am going to back out of this so they don't feel like they've already got a list going in there. And then once you have saved it, it would look, you would get this pending. And you would submit it to your administrator, your principal, and principals. You would get something that notifies you that it's pending and it is not officially entered until the principal has approved it. And I'm not going to pull this list up because it's got information about students on there that are from the school. So it would show pending. So an AD or an athletic secretary or whomever is initially filling this out, if you go back into your list and you see the word pending by an initial, it's going to, that your principal needs to approve this before any of these students on this list participate. Once it's approved by your principal or your school designee, whoever your principal is designated to approve for them, then you will see it'll say 48 lines approved. And then anything after that will be supplemental. Any questions on the Planet HS academic eligibility piece? Okay, very well. Okay, I'll turn it over to Ms. Boozer so she can discuss transfers for a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Charlie. And I failed to introduce myself at the beginning, but I'm Amy Boozer, one of the associate commissioners here with the High School League. I guess I was so excited to get started. I just failed to do that. And one of the things I oversee here at the league is transfers. And transfers, all schools are going to have transfers. It's very important that you thoroughly go through, review the information, check with your coaches, make sure they're checking to see if a student is a transfer. So any student who is not enrolled at your school or your feeder middle school during the entire previous year is considered a transfer. Very important you convey that with your coaches as they're getting ready to start fall sports here on July 30th. The sooner you can find out if you have a transfer student, the better you'll be as far as trying to find out if they're going to be eligible. Many of your transfer students are not going to be eligible. They're not going to meet one of the criterias to be considered an eligible transfer. So we look at all transfers as being ineligible until you can get the information to prove that they meet one of the criterias that's set forth in our bylaws, and that can be found in section 10. With transfers, they have to complete a transfer form, and Charlie was just on Planet HS, and we're actually going to go back to Planet HS and kind of show you where you enter that transfer information. But an athlete, until they are put on that transfer form, they are not eligible. They cannot play in any scrimmages, jamborees, or contests. They can practice, but they are not eligible to participate in a scrimmage, a jamboree, or a contest. Okay. 2 requirements for all transfers. So these are the first 2 questions you need to ask a student who may be transferring or who has transferred to your school. Are they eligible to represent the school from which they are leaving? So you would need to have communication with the school that they are leaving to confirm that they were eligible to represent that school, making sure they were leaving in good standing. And did the student participate on an outside team in which a coach, including volunteer coach, coached or had input in the selection of that outside team? So that's going to take some questions, making sure you're thoroughly investigating that piece to make sure they did not participate for a coach at your school, including volunteer coaches on an outside team. All right, I mentioned that section 10 of the bylaws, we have transfers, and these are the different types of transfers. As you can see, there are several listed here. But again, these transfers, you need to go through, you need to thoroughly look at it, like a bona fide change of address. There are some definitions that go with that, meaning that the entire family would have to have a bona fide change of address, not just the mother and a son. It would have to be the entire household would have to be moving. District school of choice, this can occur 9th grade year. Non-member to member schools, they have to be living in your school attendance zone. So these are just some of the ones that, these are the ones that we have. You can refer to these in section 10 of the bylaws and just make sure you are going through, looking at these. When you have questions, please call our office. I will tell you, no two transfers are exactly the same usually. So you are going to run into some situations that are not familiar, and that is what we are here to assist you with. So please do not hesitate to call our office. With parents, we are going to direct the parents back to the school. It is your responsibility to look to determine if the student is eligible, as you are the one that's placing them on the eligibility. We are more than glad to talk with the schools regarding students, but if parents contact us, our first information is to direct them back to the school. Okay. All right, Charlie was in Planet HS earlier, and that's where you do your eligibility. Well, Planet HS, you will also do your transfers, and you'll see the middle column, it says eligibility transfers. And if you click on that tab, it will take you to the next screen. And here is where you will enter the information for the student. Depending on which grade the student is going to tie you to what type of transfer it possibly could be, meaning 9th grade, or if you put in 10th grade, a 10th grader is not eligible for the school choice. That only pertains to 9th graders, and that only pertains to 9th graders within that school district. So this is the information that you can find on Planet HS. And again, the student is not eligible until you have submitted this transfer form and the principal has approved it. So make sure you're checking on that. All right, any questions on transfers?
I don't see any. I can't see in the chat, Amy, because I'll be sharing my screen.
Okay, all right, I will check it then. Okay, we have one question. Can they participate in 7-on-7? We do not govern the 7-on-7 in the summer. If they're enrolled with your school, then they would be eligible for your 7-on-7. But as far as them being eligible, we don't govern those contests. So they would only not be eligible if it were a jamboree, a scrimmage, or a contest that is high school league sanctioned event. And 7-on-7 is a summer activity. Okay, moving to the next slide. All right, charter and homeschool, and we did see an increase of students that were choosing to do homeschool or choosing to do the virtual online charter. And there are some laws that pertain to charter schools and homeschools. So with these students who attend a public charter school and they do not offer the sport, they will be eligible to play where they are zoned to attend. So if you have a student that's attending a charter school and they do not offer football and they are wanting to participate football at the school where they are zoned to attend, state law does allow that. Students who are homeschooled, they are only eligible to play where they are zoned to attend. And then double check with your parents to find out, are they in a homeschool association or are they taking classes at home online through a charter school? A lot of times they're going to refer to my child's being homeschooled when they're actually doing the online charter. So just want to make sure you check that. And remember, these students are not transfers because they, by state law, if they live in your attendance area, they are eligible. So you would not have to do a transfer paperwork on these students. You would just simply add them to their eligibility, providing they meet all the academic requirements and are zoned to attend your school. All right. I'll just check the chat. There is one question, but I'll respond to that one directly. Foreign exchange students. We obviously with this past year did not have a large number of foreign exchange students, but if you do have a foreign exchange students, first thing you need to check is if they live in your attendance area. They only have eligibility for 1 year. They must be a member of an approved foreign exchange program, which we have that list posted on our website. And we have information in our bylaws in section 12. Now, one thing with foreign exchange students, we've had a paper document that schools would fill out to submit. This year, we will be moving to Planet HS for you to fill this out and to complete for foreign exchange students. It will have all the information needed. So you will just input the information and it will share with you if that student is approved or if not approved. And when we get to our mandatory principal and AD meeting, we will be sharing some more information regarding your foreign exchange students and how you input that on Planet HS. Okay, that is all I have. Let me just double check right quick. All right, and I can respond to these in the chat. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Cindy Drakeford.
Good morning. As Amy just said, my name is Cindy Drakeford. I serve multiple roles here at the High School League. One, and at least one person would probably argue is the most important, is I serve as the assistant to Mr. Singleton, to Commissioner Singleton. So very often you will see emails come from me on his behalf. Other roles that I serve include finance director, sanctioning coordinator, and also in charge of league passes. As you see on the screen, Dragonfly is the platform that we use for league passes. Last year, we went to an all digital HSL pass. We are going to continue that process this year. You should be receiving some information from me. Hopefully by the end of the week, we are waiting for some updates from Dragonfly, but as soon as we get those updates, you'll be getting some specific instructions from me regarding how to set up your account. If you are a returning administrator, but maybe switch schools, how to add that school to the current existing account, and then how to get that information to all of your coaches so they can apply for league passes. Again, look for that information from me somewhere towards the end of this week or the first of next week, depending on once we get everything cleaned up in Dragonfly. Next screen for me, Charlie. The other role I serve is as the sanctioning coordinator. Many of you will send me information on how to get events approved. So tournaments, jamborees, showcases, those things that you want to have approved. There are multiple ways to do that. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail today because I know you're going to be bombarded with a lot of information. I just really want to touch on the basics of it. But if you want to get one of your events approved, you have invited only South Carolina high schools, then you would fill out the SCHSL application to get that approved. There is another way if you have invited border states, so the border states of North Carolina and or Georgia, you then would have to fill out our border state application. And if you have invited schools from anywhere else in the country, be it Tennessee, Virginia, Florida, and depending on the number of schools that you invite, you then would have to go through NFHS sanctioning to have that done. All of this information is found on our website in the AD notebook. And actually, if you on the home page of our website, if you scroll down to the bottom, it gives a little bit more information about the sanctioning process, what you need to do. As always, and I tell everybody, if you ever have a question about it, feel free to just email me or give me a call, and I can help walk you through that process if you haven't done it before. We are or will be introducing a new way to do that this year. It hasn't rolled out quite yet, but we're going to an all digital platform for sanctioning as well. It should make it a little bit easier for coaches and administrators to complete that. And that will combine the SCHSL application and the border state application. So you wouldn't have to complete but one form. Next slide. Financial forms, and I think since we switched to a new platform this year as far as the league playoff dollars, a lot of schools didn't think that they needed to complete and or send financial forms to the league office. So I really just wanted to remind everyone that financial forms are to be completed for all rounds of most of our sports in playoffs. A copy of those forms go to the school, the visiting schools, and then a copy comes to the league office. So even if we don't get money from the playoffs, we still need a copy of those financial forms. Those forms can be found on our website also. We made it a little bit easier. They're all in an Excel format intended to be completed in Excel, so you don't have to handwrite them. It does the automatic calculations for you on those forms. The most important thing to remember is just to complete the form, send a copy to the school, send the early rounds of monies to the visiting schools, and then send a copy of that form to the league office. Again, those forms can be found on the website under each of the different sports, and those playoff forms are a little bit different for each sport. I don't know if I have any questions right now about the financial forms, about sanctioning, about league passes. I think those are the most important things right now as far as finances go. And then finally, rulebook orders. So we changed that platform this year too. I'm really excited about this. I've been pushing for this for the last couple of years. I think it makes things a little bit easier, hopefully, for our office and for the schools. We have now gone to a digital order for our rule books. So, and that's through Shopify. We have a link on the website. I sent out an email earlier this week about how to access that. But now you can go online, you can select the books that your school wants or that you all want to order. You have the option to have those shipped, or you can pick them up here at the league office. It makes it a little bit easier for the schools to keep track of their order, to print the order form, to give it to their bookkeepers, to get the invoices paid. It also makes it easier to track it for us and for you, so you can go on and see which books have been sent, which books are still on back order, or whatever the case is. So really excited about this one. I think it's rolling out smooth. We've gotten a lot of orders already. And again, the link for that is on the website. I did send out an email this week. If you didn't get it and you want some more information, you can email me here at the league office. Any questions on any of that? I know that was pretty quick. Like I said, I didn't want to bombard you with the specifics and the details of everything, but I am here all day, every day. If you have a question about anything, or if I can help walk you through any of that, I'm always willing to help.
Thanks, Cindy. And with the information she shared, we will be going over a little bit more in depth when we do the mandatory principal and AD meeting. And we'll share when those dates are going to be. So she'll be covering that just a little bit more in detail for you. But if you do have questions in the meantime, please reach out to Cindy in our office. All right, now at this time, we'll turn it over to Associate Commissioner Danny Brooks.
Good morning. As Amy indicated, I'm Associate Commissioner Danny Brooks, responsible for the areas of coaches education, student of the month, our summits, leadership summit, sportsmanship summit, health and wellness summit, community service, student advisory committee. I'm responsible for ejections, the sports of wrestling, track and field, cross country, and swim. So a lot on the plate, but excited about this new year and you guys coming on board. One of the requirements are the coaches requirement. This is mandatory for all of our coaches. You can go to nfhslearn.com for these courses. They are free. The concussion course, the heat course, the student cardiac arrest, and protecting students from abuse. Those are mandatory and they are free. Coaches also have to have CPR and AED. They take those every 2 years. And one of the courses that requires pay, if you have non-district employees that are serving as head coaches, they must take the fundamentals of coaching. There are 2 other courses that we highly suggest, and that's the COVID-19 course for coaches and administrators and the collapsed athlete. I think all of those will be very important to a great start in your new positions. Another of my areas of responsibility, as I spoke to a little bit earlier, is ejections. If an athlete is ejected, the school must submit an ejection report. So make sure you're communicating with your coaches that they do let you know if it's an away game and you're not there or not in attendance. If an athlete is ejected, because the report has to come to this office the very next day. That athlete can remain in the bench area if he or she is ejected, but cannot return to play. They are immediately ineligible until cleared by our office. And we gave examples here of minimum games, the minimum number of suspensions for an athlete for football, swim, lacrosse, and cheers, 1 game suspension. The minimum for golf, volleyball, and wrestling is 2 game suspension. The minimum for basketball, baseball, softball, tennis, and soccer are 3 games. Coach's ejection. If a coach's ejection, again, that report should be submitted the next day. The coach must leave the facility or the stadium immediately and not return. Coach cannot return to that level until cleared by the league. Minimum there is 2 game suspension and $300 fine. Suspensions must be served at the level of the ejection. If a coach is ejected the final game of the year, it carries a $500 minimum. Sportsmanship. On our website, there are some things available to you, the student sportsmanship pledge, the coach's pledge, some guideline announcements, some sample announcements, all regarding the area of sportsmanship. And we'll cover a little bit more of that in the mandatory AD and principal meeting. Student Leadership Summit, we have several summits that'll be available. These are game changers for your athletes. Student Leadership Summit, the National Federation will be offering a virtual summit coming up here at the very beginning of next month. You'll be getting information about that. Our Student Information Summit this year, we're hoping to go back to face-to-face. It's been virtual, will receive one of the most participated things that we have. We will be offering in August, and you'll get more information on this. August 26th will be our inaugural Health and Wellness Summit. So we're excited about that, where some health professionals are going to come in and really make a difference for your athletes. Some things that I think are game changers off the playing field. I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Commissioner Winski.
Good morning again. As I talked to you earlier, I failed to mention exactly what I did here. I am Deputy Commissioner, and part of my responsibilities here, of course, the sports I cover are football, basketball, baseball, softball, and boys lacrosse. In addition to that, I oversee the athletics part of our organization, and also handle all investigations and anything that comes with those investigations. So If you get a call or an email from me inquiring about something, don't always assume that you're guilty. My job is to inquire about information that comes to us. I would probably venture a guess that 85 to 90% of the time when we inquire about something, once the school has an opportunity to look into it, we find out there is no violation there. It is a very, very small percentage. Sometimes you will get contacted multiple times in the year. We're not picking on you. We're not picking on your school. We're doing the job that we've been hired to do here and what the membership expects us to do. So with that, I'm going to roll into some safety and health things that the league has. These are all required. So make sure that you've got these in place. If you're taking over for someone, they should already have these in because nothing is new. But just want to make you aware. Of course, as we head into the fall, of course, this time of the year, the wet bulb globe thermometer is vital. And there are no exceptions to what the wet bulb globe thermometers requirements are. That information can be found on our website under ADs and principals. For athletes to be eligible, those physicals for this year must be dated on or after April 1 of 2021. Inevitably, you will have a parent call you and say, I cannot get a physical. Again, I just got one done on March 30. Can they please accept that? My insurance won't pay for another one, and I don't want to go pay for another physical with my doctor. The answer to that question is no. If it's not dated on or after April 1, 2021, it will not be considered a valid physical for this year. They need to go get another physical done with the correct date on it. Also, emergency action plans, make sure your facilities have those. You never know when the emergency is going to happen. You never know what the situation is going to be, how big the crowd is, how vital it will be, or how intense the moment will become, and how quickly it will escalate. So make sure you've got that emergency action plan in place, because the last thing you want is to have an emergency during a contest or during a practice, and it's found out after the fact you did not have an emergency action plan. This is not so much being caught by the league. This is about health and safety of your student athletes and your coaches. Please don't forget about your coaches. One of the things we talk about with coaches a lot is, do your student athletes know what to do if? What to do if it happens to the coach. There are a lot of sports where you have one coach there to practice at all times. There's some sports that don't have multiple coaches. They don't have 7 or 8 or 10 adults there. What happens if it's a coach in the film room in the east wing of your school on a Sunday afternoon with his position group and he has a heart attack? Do your students know what to do? Do they have a plan? Do they know who to contact? Do they know how to do what they need to do? Where to tell people what to get to? That's where these emergency action plans come into place. Kids open a folder and follow what they need to do. So take all those things into consideration. Make sure you've got those things updated, especially as facilities change. And then, of course, implemented last year, immersion tubs or similar cooling devices are required for football. You need to make sure that you have them on site for football, ready to go to help get that core body temperature down in the event someone has a heat illness emergency. It's also a great idea to have them in other fall sports, especially in the early August, late July, and late August period. If you can make it happen. If you can't make it happen, then remember it is required for football. Any questions on anything safety and health? Okay, real quick, in a brief explanation, we could spend a lot of time on this, but there's basically 3 types of sports seasons. Of course, you have the in season, which is when it is legal to team practice, where you can scrimmage and then play contests. We are considered in season at that time. There's also an open season. Each sport has an open period and is done by the sports season. So the fall open period or open season is May 1 through 31 every year. And then, of course, the winter sports open season begins in September. And then the spring sports open season begins the Monday following the football state championships. They all run. The winter and the spring run up until the Wednesday prior to the opening of their season. So they have about a 4-day dead period prior to that. And of course, inside that open season, there's 20 days of practice, not 21, not 22, there's 20 days. The biggest thing that schools need to understand is you cannot make this mandatory. You cannot say, if you do not come to this, you will not play for us this year. The whole purpose of open season is to give coaches an opportunity to work with their athletes when it's not in season, but also to not put pressure on athletes to feel like I can't play X sport because I have to go to open season here. I can't play basketball, or I can't play football because basketball's got open season. I can't play soccer because, or I can't play basketball or wrestle because soccer's got an open period. And my coach says, if I'm not there, I can't play. That's not allowed. And it needs to be open to all students. A lot of coaches, they want to say, well, I just want the kids that played for me last year. No, it's open to all students. We're in a new year. And school facilities may be used. The closed season is what it says it is. It's closed. You can't do anything sport specific. Now, we get a lot of questions. Can we use the weight room? Can we do strength and conditioning? Can we do agility drills? Absolutely, provided those things are not sport specific. You're not out there with the ball, or you're not teaching a skill that pertains to that sport exclusive. For example, I've got my basketball team, and we're going to do what we call conditioning. And then we're going to get in a defensive stance, guys, and we're going to shuffle 2 feet to the right, pivot backwards at a 45-degree angle, shuffle 5 feet. And by the way, keep your hands out like you're playing defense. All we're doing is working on shuffling. No, you're working on playing defense. You're working on teaching your kids the skills necessary specific to basketball. If we are using a shuffle drill in terms of a sprint, you can make the correlation that possibly it would be a multi-sport activity they're doing there. So just make sure it's not sport specific. The weight room is open for schools. Conditioning activities, they are open 51 weeks a year. There's 1 week a year that we say you cannot do anything with your students for any reason, anywhere, and that is the dead week around July 4th. That week is designed to give students and coaches alike a break and a set time where it says, let's do no athletics, give everybody a break to recharge and regurgitate their energy so that they can be ready to go for the next year. Of course, June and July, you've got an open practice period, and during that period, of course, again, except the dead week, and during this time, you can also have 10 dates of team competition. This is across all sports. And then football would be, instead of putting the pads and helmets on, it would be 7-on-7 is the equivalency that we allow in June and July. Any questions on the sports seasons? So you're aware, these are listed in the handbook, in the rules and regulations, and they don't catch you when it happens to you because everybody says, man, that's tough. This was put in place a couple years ago by a committee, and membership has been fully aware of it. And yet every year somebody violates the closed season and can't believe this is the penalty they get when they did it one day. I can't believe we only did it 3 days. This is the penalty. This is what spelled out the penalty is. Of course, 1 day in violation, you can read what it is there. The biggest one is 3 days in violation or the third occurrence in the sport. The fine doesn't change, but the biggest piece is that you're not going to participate in the playoffs. If your basketball coach says, hey, we're going to have an open gym August 1st, you guys come and just shoot hoops, I won't be there. That's going to be a violation of the closed season. If they did that 3 days, your basketball team's not going to the playoffs. You need to make sure your coaches really understand what these penalties are. Because what happens, they come back and they say, oh, this is really severe. We're punishing the kids, and we're here to help kids. You know what the penalties are. If you know what the penalties are, that should help keep you from committing the infraction. It'd be totally different if you had no clue what the penalties were and we arbitrarily just decided what we wanted it to be every single time. Of course, these again are listed. Additionally, other fines and penalties are listed in the rules and regulations as well. So I would encourage you to take time to read through that to see what you've got. Any questions on the closed, open, or in-season stuff from me? I don't Amy, do you see any?
Yeah, no questions on open close. Thanks, Charlie. This time we're going to have Keith Warren over our technology here at the South Carolina High School League. He is going to go through and do a walkthrough. We do have a new website that just went live this weekend. So he's going to kind of walk us through this new website.
Thank you, Amy. Yeah, we just launched this weekend, as Amy said, and it's going to be an evolving website because there'll be things that we add throughout the year. But what we want to do is just give you an idea of where you can find things. And one thing that's going to be really helpful to you is the AD notebook, and that contains things that are really pertinent to your jobs as ADs and principals. It's at the very top, you'll see this blue bar. There's information that you might want to find quickly, and the AD notebook is really one thing you're going to hit right off the bat. And when you click on that, it'll take you to this page. And we try to put these in different sections. So these are the handbook, and you really need to pay attention to these. If you click on these will open up. It's a PDF file, and you can read it here if you like. If you press this button, it will open it up full screen so you can see it. And if you want to download it, you can do that as well. This little button here will download that to your computer, and you can print it, you put it in a binder. We also hope to very soon have this available as a ebook that you could put on your mobile device, whether that be an iPhone, iPad. It would still work on your computer as well, but it'll be searchable, and I think that might be very helpful to you. Another thing you might want to be interested in is the forms. There are a lot of forms here. They're also located on that AD notebook. I tell you what, let me go back to it and scan down there again where you can see more about that. So this is the handbook section. This is a form for proposed bylaw changes, tickets. This is health, heat and stress. Charlie was mentioning the wet bulb globe temperature monitoring. You want to look at that. How to postpone a contest, as it goes on and on. These are forms. They also mentioned the ejection form. That's one you're going to be aware of. As you go down, it just gives you more information about your job as an AD or as a principal. We also have rewind section. This is, and you'll see today's Zoom is recorded, and we'll put that here. So if you ever want to go back and look at a previous recording, you can find it here. The calendar is going to be very important to you. You can download this as well as an iCal feed. If you click on this, it'll give you information on how to put this on your computer or mobile device, but check this out routinely. We have individual sports pages. Oh, no, hey, look at that, one more thing on the front page. Quick links. This is going to be really important to you because this will quickly get you to information that you might need. If you forget how to get to Planet High School or to Arbiter, if you need the downloads quickly on the Constitution, rules and regulations, you can find that here as well. This will always be within the next few days, what's coming up. And this is an agenda format of our calendar. So this will change every day. So you can give a quick look to that. This goes into some more sections that we have. Danny had mentioned about the student leadership, students of the month. This is our Tues news that Tammy does a great job on. You can find, she will email those out to you, but you can also come here and you can find those. At the top, we have information about, again, this is AD Notebook, so it's the same link as this, but it's information about the schools. These are classifications, so you can come here and find out information about your classifications. This will have your representatives on the executive committee. This is a learning center. You can just go through these menus and see anything about the school related. This is sport related. So you can come to any particular sport, and this will have information that is pertinent to that particular sport. When you get the brackets, maybe some forms that are particular to that sport, your important dates, but in every sport will be slightly different. And like I said, these will change as the year goes along. So keep abreast of this, come back often. Again, we'll go back to the students. This is Student of the Month that we did last year. And this is information. You can click on any of these and it will give you information about those students. We try to really do a good job with the how we portray students and how we present them with awards and things like that. The Student Leadership Conference is a really a good thing. It's quite dynamic. The speakers were very good. I really encourage you to take part in those. This is about officials. Communications, this is important. The Tuesday news that I mentioned will be here, but press releases and memos, you want to come here for those. And it goes back, this is a history of them, and you can load more if you want to see them. We're trying to be very transparent on what we're doing. The annual report, the Twitter feed, this again is Rewind. So Rewind is all of the videos that we've done in the past, and you can do more. This is a YouTube channel. So you can also just go to YouTube if you like. Twitter, this is public, this is our social media. We'll also be adding an Instagram feed and then about us. So this is our staff. If you want to know any information about our staff, this is our contact information. We also have the Executive Committee, the Appellate Panel, and how to contact us. So this is the address, the phone number, and you can also submit an email that will come to me. So like I said, this is an evolving process, or we're going to be changing it. If you've got questions, if you've got suggestions, we'd love to hear those. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see my email address at the very bottom. You can absolutely email me and I'd be happy to walk you through anything, or if you got suggestions, we'd love to hear them.
All right, thanks, Keith. All right, and we're almost done, so you just hang in with us. Right now, we're going to turn it back over to Charlie, and he is going to just do a quick overview of Arbiter.
Hey, welcome back. Arbiter is where all of your officials' assignments will be located in all the sports that we or officials are assigned for you. Just so you are aware, each school already has an Arbiter account and it's set up underneath the athletic director primarily. In some cases, we have an assistant AD on there that has Arbiter rights as well for each school. If you need an Arbiter account, you'll need to contact Jan Hogan in our office. Really simple email is jan@scHSL.org. And if you forget that, just go to our website and scroll down to Jan's picture and you will see her email right there beside it. When you send her an email just to help her out, if you can make her aware of what school you were at, what your position is, who you were taking over for, that will help her tremendously. The last piece is really big. In other words, who you're taking over for, because there's a lot of permissions she has to set and a lot of information she's got to make sure she gets onto your account. And if she knows exactly who you're taking over for, make sure it's a carbon copy of what they had. And if that person needs to be taken off, let us know, because if not, they still have their credentials and can log back in and get into your accounts. So again, your name, school name, and please, just for future reference too, please don't send in HHS or HS, because there's a couple of those. There's a lot of CHSs in our schools. Is it in our state? Is it Camden? Is it Crescent? Is it Chapman? Is it Central? You know, we can go on and on. We don't know all your acronyms. Just type it out for us to help us out in all cases as you turn stuff into the league for the future. So let's show you what Arbiter is. So when you log in, again, I'm going to borrow Coach Carey's account at Newberry. When you log in, it's going to pop up to your home screen here. Biggest screen, of course, you can go to your main screen. Your ejection form, you can find an ejection form here. You click on the link. This is where you're going to turn in the ejection form if a student or coach is ejected. And also go to your schedule, which is what I wanted to make sure you have here. Of course, you see all the levels of sport that they offer. In Newberry High School, that we have officials that are assigned to them. Now, your basketball, varsity boys and girls, and your varsity football, those officials are assigned through our office. All your other sports, your sub-varsity basketball, sub-varsity football, and all your other varsity sports, they are assigned by your local assigner in your area. And you pay them a booking fee, and they assign you officials to all your home games. Now, let's look at his football schedule here. This is what his football schedule looks like for the upcoming year at Newberry High School. What I would encourage you to do if you're taking over for someone, get your Arbiter account set up with Jan, make sure you got your credentials to get in. I would go in and check in Arbiter all of your fall contests to make sure that they are in here. And of course, those are the ones that are assigned. Officials are assigned to, which would only be football and volleyball for the fall, but at least you can go in and make sure that it's in there. Nothing would be more painful for you than to say, I'm supposed to play on 8/20 and our 8/20 game's not in there, and you figure it out 8/17. That's going to be a really bad situation because we're going to have a lot of officials already signed, and you may not be playing that game in that short of notice. So if you notice, there's a difference here between there's the pencil ones with an X, and there's also a gray box. The gray box are the away games. If you would take a moment here, you can see the away games they've got. All the ones with the pencil are the ones that are the home games for Newberry High School, and that gives them the ability to go back in and edit. This editing ability is lost 2 weeks prior to the contest. So once you get inside of 2 weeks, that is lost. Your slots, your far slots over here, that shows you the officials. So you see there's 0 of 5, which means you're going to have 5 assigned. This tells you when you click on that number, I'll click on the 0 of 5. When it is assigned and booked, it will show 5 of 5 and will be in green. And then when you click on that 5 of 5 or 0 of 5, it shows you, the referee. You'll have listed here what that person's name is, how far they've traveled, the total game fee, and then the bill paid to by. You can also see your away game officials as well in there. All right, now let me go and do a quick show all. To show you a wrestling one, for example, here. I don't know why that's in there under football. That doesn't make any sense. Let me back up. I'll show you another one they've got in there in their system. Any questions on what it looks like? This is his football schedule. Again, he can go through and make sure that the sites and the times and everything is correct in there. If he wants to add a game for some whatever reason, you just click this green plus sign. And this is on any sport you've got. And of course, you go in and you fill out all the information. Football, they are not 4A. They are actually a 2A school now. Why it's defaulting them to 4, but we can fix that. And then, of course, the site. So, for example, Newberry High School, their field became unplayable for the year. They weren't going to play there. He can go in plenty enough time and say, hey, all our games are going to be at Newberry College this year. He would just click on Newberry College and it would change the site location. That is important because our officials need to know where they're going. And then, of course, the start time here and the date. Now, if I tried to enter in a date that I knew somebody else had a game on or I didn't know, let's say Newberry was trying to play Mid-Carolina on a football game on a Friday night. It wouldn't really happen in football, but if you did a basketball or baseball or softball or soccer, and that school already had a game in Arbiter for that same date or that same time period, actually the date and time period, it's not going to allow you to save it. So if Coach Carey here was trying to do a soccer match against Mid-Carolina on, let's say February the 28th at 5:30, And Arbiter already has in the system that Mid Carolina is playing boys soccer against Chapin on the same date at 6 o'clock. It's not going to allow Coach Carey at Newberry to book this in because it's already got a conflict. If there's a game at the level here at the same stadium already on that site, it's not going to allow you to book it in. So it does have a little bit of a catch-all system to kind of help. In that case, what will happen is you do not contact us. You would contact the school you're supposed to play and say, hey, there's something not letting me do this in Arbiter. I need you to get this changed. Let me try to show you what it would look like from an official standpoint here when you get to your sports. So this is basketball and varsity basketball. You're going to have 3 slots to fill. You can see all their games here they played last year. And then you just would click on what the officials, who the officials were. Wayman Brown, they've already paid them out and gotten it out. It tells you the mileage, and of course their payments would be in there as well. But all these payments have been settled up, so they're done. Now, I clicked this show all box, and that's why it's still clicked. It's showing me last year. If I unclick it, it's going to show me no games. All it's going to show you in your game schedule when you go in, unless you click this show all box, it's only going to show you your upcoming games in that sport. We can see football because those games were upcoming, but I can't, if I click show all, it shows me games. And what happens is a lot of times as you come in on let's just take football season because it's coming up. You come in on a Monday morning and you want to pull the information back up from who worked your game Friday and you can't find it, and you call us and you say, hey, I can't find who worked my game Friday. Where'd my game go? It disappeared. Go down here and click show all, and that game will pop back up because it's now a past game, and Arbiter doesn't deal in the past as we're moving forward in assigning. Of course, here's all their sports. You see the blocks here. That's what officials they've blocked, and you have blocks available to you, to your coaches. If you've got new coaches in the sport and you're new, I would probably look at your blocks and see if you really want to keep some of these folks blocked. I would encourage you to block as few people as you can and only use it when it's necessary. A lot of times coaches get upset and they want to block folks based on 1 or 2 calls in the game, and they forget that the reality of it is they're probably blocking a good official down the road, and we don't want to do that for too long if we can help it. Amy, any questions on Arbiter from me?
There are no questions on Arbiter at the moment. And if you will, just bring back up our presentation.
Okay.
I know we have covered a lot of information today. I know as you get in there and start working with it, some other questions are going to come up. Don't hesitate to reach out to our office. Dealing with Arbiter, sometimes you will have to reach out directly to Arbiter. That's who you need to contact. Just to finish up though, Planet HS. And Arbiter, and then the directory. If you do not have your school account set up for the following, you need to contact Jan Hogan in our office. And very important that you send an email to her. And I think we stated this earlier in the presentation. Please put your name and your school name, not just your school initials. There's a lot of just CHS out there. So, be specific and put in Crescent High School if that is the name of your school. So if you need to set up Planet HS or have information changed in Planet HS or Arbiter, please email Jan Hogan. And then the directory information, if you have not received that information, email her as well. With the directory, it's important that you get the directory updated for your school. So you may be a new AD and have not set this up yet. Could have went to the former athletic director or former principal. So very important that you get this information. This is how we send our emails out. So once the new principal and new athletic director has been added, then that will add you to our principal and athletic director email list. So just want to make sure you do that. And that's Jan's email address. Okay, I talked briefly throughout the meeting about a mandatory meeting. So we do have a mandatory principal AD meeting. And so this is for all principals or AD, and you have to have at least one school administrator or athletic director must attend. So either the principal or athletic director or administrator needs to attend this meeting. We will be offering the meeting 4 times. So there are 4 opportunities to attend this meeting. You only have to attend one, August 5th and 6th. And we will offer both days at 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. Again, we will send out information, a link. You will register for this meeting as we will record attendance for this meeting. Failure to attend will result in a $100 fine. This meeting is along the same line as our mandatory coaches meeting for head coaches of each sports. This meeting will provide you with more information. Today was just kind of the initial introduction to the things to get you started. This one we will cover in more detail some information regarding the upcoming year. So any questions from our office before we get ready to let SCAAA start presenting their part with you all? Well, we thank
If
you.
you'll let me close out once you're done.
Are you asking me or SCAAA?
I'll get an opportunity to just.
Yes,
You know,
by all
the-
means, by all means, you can do it right now, Commissioner.
Sure, thank you. We gave you a lot, and it can get overwhelming at times. Just know that right now is the time to digest it and ask a lot of questions and make sure that we get you off to a great start. That's our goal. I mean, we gave you a lot, and we know that it can be challenging. You know the role that athletic plays in your school. You know how it can wreak havoc if it's not handled correctly. Give us the opportunity to help you. Truly give us the opportunity to help you. And it's always better to get permission than to ask for forgiveness. I mean, we'll always forgive you, of course, but it comes with some challenges for you. You've got a lot. I think the staff did a great job of just getting you prepared to start the first semester, or at least the fall sports season. Pay attention to those things. It's been recorded. Go back and look at it again and again and again until you feel comfortable with it. And then if you've got questions, don't hesitate to ask us about those things. We're here for you, and we'll go as slow as you want us to. I mean, to get you up to speed, because it could be totally different than anything that you've dealt with in the past. And we want you to be successful. So give us a chance to be a part of helping you to be successful. We appreciate everybody that's joined in. We want to thank y'all for taking time from your busy day to be involved with this, and know that the South Carolina High School League staff and the league is here to serve you. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we will have SCAAA, Joe Mominier and Carlos Cave.
Good morning, everyone. I remember 10 years ago in the athletic director spot, kind of spinning, my head spinning, and then we offered a 4-hour class after this. So be thankful that our presentation is very short today. Carlos and I just want to introduce ourselves. I'm the president of the South Carolina Athletic Administrators Association. He's a past president. We're going to come up with our credentials in a minute when he gets the presentation set up. You have a great task at hand. We're here to help you. We're the professional organization in our state that assists athletic administrators, as well as principals and assistant ADs, and then, of course, both high school and middle school. You gotta wait for Cave to.
Can everyone see the screen? I'm trying
Yes.
to get it
You
up.
to hit start slideshow.
Okay, hold 1 second. Can everyone see that now?
No, it dropped off.
Okay, hold 1 second. All right, can everyone see the slideshow presentation now?
Yes.
Yes, it is up.
Okay, so as Joe stated, my name is Carlos Cave. I'm currently the athletic director at Well Branch Early College High School. I'm also lead athletic director for Beaufort County School District. I serve on several boards along with being a member of the South Carolina Athletic Administrators Association. I'm also a board member on the South Carolina Track Coaches Association. I also represent the South Carolina Athletic Administrators as the board member and liaison to the Executive Committee representing athletic administrators statewide. I'm also the Class A, and there's a typo here, but the Class A Vice President. So I serve in many capacities, but I once sat in your shoes. So I know the pains of what you're dealing with and the transition that you're going through. So hopefully what we're going to share today will give you some insight, some best practices, and some things that you can lean on moving forward. I'm going to talk more about the professional development piece, which I think is critical for you as new ADs. But I'm going to go ahead and defer to Joe so he can do some additional introductions and talk a little more in detail about the SCAAA and the NIAAA.
Yeah, again, this is our organization, South Carolina Athletic Administrators Association. It's your professional state organization for athletic administrators. You can go on to the next slide, Carlos. This is our website, scAAA.org. That's where all of our information is for professional development, membership, what conferences we hold, awards, things like that. So all the things that we present is all on our website. We also social media presence. If you're on Twitter, if you're on Facebook and Instagram, we have pages. It's usually South Carolina AD, or you can put SCAAA and those will pop up. If you like us or follow us, that'd be great. You can also, if you have content that you think it's good for, link us to that content as well, what you're doing at school or good things going on in your community. Next one. So what do we do? So we host the South Carolina Athletic Administrators Association Spring Conference along with the High School League. This year, it's March 12th through 16th. You'll be getting more information about that. We also, as Carlos is going to talk about later, professional development in state, so you don't have to go anywhere. In March, we have LTI classes and workshops. In March, in person. January, February, we have Zoom virtual LTI classes. And then in July, if you are going to the South Carolina Coaches Association clinic, we will be offering clinics on Sunday as well as 2 courses during the week during that time. We also give out a lot of awards. We nominate for national awards from our state. The Carlisle Cup is for the points for the best overall athletic program according to state finalists and how they do in the playoffs. We give out 80 awards, principal awards, superintendent awards, and others that support athletics in the state of South Carolina. We also have student athletes scholarships, and we have a Hall of Fame. We also like to promote our athletes, programs, and athletic administrators as we can. When they're doing good things, we try to promote them and get the word out that they're doing great things. Support. We mentor new athletic directors. That's why we're here today to give, and I emailed, put in the chat, our email addresses. So you please contact us if you're having any trouble. We can find a mentor in your area. If you're a middle school athletic director, we can find another middle school athletic director to help you. We also have tools and resources that we can send you to help you through your first couple of years, because that's the goal. We don't want a turnstile of athletic directors. It's a tough job. We want to help keep you where you are or advance you. We're also a partner with the South Carolina High School League, Coaches Association, NFHS, and NIAAA. And then we have a national organization. I'll let Carlos talk more about that, as he has a lot more experience at the national level than I do.
Okay, our national affiliation, obviously, again, we're the South Carolina Athletic Administrators Association, but on the national stage, we all are part of we're an umbrella group under the National Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association. And this is the goal of this organization is professional development for athletic administrators. Everything about this organization is about making your job, making you more efficient, making you, helping you develop policies and practices so that you can run your athletic programs in a way that prevents you from getting in any type of legal, having any type of legal issues, and making sure that you're abreast of all of the safety concerns, and not only what's going on here in South Carolina, but what's going on around the country. One of the things and one of the biggest benefits that I find in being a part of the NIAAA and attending those conferences and attending the national conference is that what you will find is the issues that you have in Bamberg, the issues that you may have in Well Branch in Beaufort County, in Lugoff, Eldrum, and Carvers Bay. Those are the same issues that are taking place in Colorado, in California, in Florida, in Maine, in New York, and New Jersey. So our issues as it pertains to athletic administration, there is no secret. There's nothing that's unique about what we have to do. But what is unique is when you become an active participant, you gain additional knowledge to help you be able to navigate those dangerous waters and to be able to handle those pitfalls that will occur. You're going to have some challenges. It's how you deal with those challenges that's going to determine your longevity in this position. And again, I've grown. Joe, I think will share the same sentiment. He's grown in his position through both of us becoming more actively involved in the NIAAA. There's a level to the NIAAA that's geared towards national certification, and to the principals that are part of this new principal AD setting. What I want to stress to you is new principals, the same way you grow your teachers in your building as new principals, I would like to think that you would also want your athletic department to grow. Thus, professional development for your athletic directors is a critical piece. They must be up to speed with the changes, not just locally, but on the national stage. And again, it will make their job better, and it will take some of the headache and challenges that oftentimes will be dumped on your desk as principals. They're able to address it and just keep you abreast because they have the tools in their toolbox to deal with it. So there are different levels of certification. The initial certification for a high school athletic director is the RAA, which means that you would take 3 courses, 501, 502, 503. These are all introductory level courses, and then they will earn the ability to certify as a registered athletic administrator, which is a national certification. The next level of certification is becoming a certified athletic administrator, certified athletic administrator. With that is additional courses. That would include 501, 502, 503. And I know I'm not giving you descriptors as far as what those courses are, but we have legal courses that are part of it, the certification piece as well. And there are, right now we have 4 legal courses that are all part of that next level of certification, the CAA. So with the CAA, you would need to take 504 and 506. And then the final and the highest level of certification is becoming a certified master athletic administrator. That encompasses all 4 legal, as well as additional upper level courses. With the course breakdown, there are different levels. You have 500, 600, and 700 level courses. The RAA and the CAA require you to complete that 500 level threshold to gain those initial certifications. But the CMAA requires that you obtain higher level courses in order to garner that distinction. I like to encourage all athletic directors, at a minimum, you should at least strive to become a certified athletic administrator. That also comes along with a test that you have to take, and you have to document your year. There's a grading rubric that accompanies the CAA certification that basically speaks to your day-to-day things that you've done, you're documenting, you're earning points. So you complete that rubric, you take the test, and you're successful with the test, you earn that national level of certification. So that's in a snapshot, just very briefly talking about those 3 levels. There is also a middle school level component to this as well, where you can become certified on the middle school level. So that is there for middle school ADs that are part of this presentation. I would like to, again, encourage those that are able to attend the National Athletic Directors Conference. This year, it is a little challenging because it's a little farther away. This year's conference is actually going to take place in Denver, Colorado in December. And of course, with budget restraints and restrictions, you may or may not be able to participate. But if you are capable of attending this conference, it is an invaluable, and I would just say that the things that you would learn there from a professional standpoint is next level. The social networking that occurs, the interactions, the courses and seminars that are provided, all will make you better at what you do when you return back to your building. So that's what I wanted to cover just as an introduction. Part of what we normally would do, we would have a face-to-face and offer you a free course. We as an organization, the South Carolina Athletic Administrators, want to still offer you the course. What we're going to do, and I will get the roster from the league here while in Columbia, and for the athletic directors that are on this call, you will receive a voucher. That voucher will allow you to take a free 500 level course as professional development. So we're offering you a free course as an introduction to the NIAAA and to the professional development piece that is provided through the NIAAA. I will get that roster from the league, and I will reach out to you. The first opportunity to use that voucher actually takes place in Greenville at the South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association conference that will take place here in about 2 weeks. So if you're interested, we have 2 courses. We have 502, which is an introductory course, and we have 790, which is an upper level course. For you as new ADs, if you want to use the voucher, I would recommend you sign up for the 502, and that will be an opportunity. If you choose not to use the voucher, then you will have another opportunity to use a voucher for any 500 level course. Again, when we have our winter weekend, that's usually around the back end of January, February. And then the final opportunity to use that voucher would take place in March at the Principal ADs Conference. So you have 3 opportunities to take a free course, to get your feet wet, to see what the professional development side looks like for you as athletic administrators. And I definitely encourage you to take advantage of this free course and everything that comes along with it. And don't forget, we're also offering seminars at the South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association in about 2 weeks.
1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, right before Dabu. Sweeney talks about football. So if you're there on Sunday, love you guys to check in. It's on the schedule for the conference. So hopefully see some of you out there. And I did in the chat box answered a couple questions, as well as put our email addresses there, and obviously Jan and the crew have us there. But if you need to contact us directly, if you're struggling, if you need some help with mentoring, please email us, contact us. We would be more than happy to help you and set you up and get you going in the right direction. Any questions that we didn't answer? Really like to thank league staff for allowing us to come here today. We really appreciate our partnership, and thank you guys. Did a great job. I watched the whole thing, and I think I learned something today. Believe it or not.
Great. Joe, we want to thank you and Carlos for coming on and sharing information with SCAAA. And we do encourage you all to reach out and, join the SCAAA and utilize the benefits that they can offer you as an athletic director. And in our state. So we thank you. At this time, this does conclude our new principal and new athletic director orientation. We thank you for attending today. We look forward to meeting some of you in Greenville when we are there for the SCACA Coaches Clinic. And then if we do not see you in Greenville, we look forward to seeing you on either August 5th or August 6th at the mandatory principal AD meeting. And just a reminder, only one administrator or one principal needs to be in attendance for that meeting for your school. So if you do not have any other questions, then the meeting is over. And, you know, if you do have questions, I see there are a few in the chat. I will check on those. And I think, Joe, you've been looking at some of those as well. And if nothing else, we are always here for you. You can email us or call us by phone, but don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions as you go through this year. So thank you for being in attendance.